Shalom, sister. Shalom. Kohalo Yahweh Bahashem, Hamashiach, Wamalak Yahushai. All honor and glory to Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. Lord willing, y'all are feeling well through the Spirit. So today I wanted to just do a quick video just about not being weary and well doing. Just Galatians 6 and 9 and a few other verses. And I wanted to touch on why I was meditating on these scriptures. If you know, you know. You don't, you don't. But I'm a gardener and I've pretty much been gardening for 4 years. But out of the 4 years, only 2 years I've been successful. So, this year was the best year for me. The Lord has really, looked over my garden and blessed my garden to be fruitful through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So all praises to the Most High. I pray over my garden. I put a lot of labor in. I really care for it. I take good care of it. So, I had a very productive season and fruitful season. So all praises. But there was this one plant, y'all. It was this one particular plant that I had planted in April. It was a watermelon plant. So I planted it in April and it didn't grow until maybe a few months. It just took a long time for it to grow. It was very stagnant. I thought it was dead at one point, but I just kept, being long suffering with it. I kept gardening it. I kept fertilizing it, watering it, just taking care of it, praying over it. And eventually, in September, it finally produced a watermelon. So I was like, wow, all praises, this watermelon, every day it was growing. It was getting bigger and bigger every day. Long story short, my youngest son, he pulled it up. When I saw that he pulled up my watermelon, I was sick to my stomach. I almost fell out. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. I just was like, wow, that's so crazy. But, I was so sick about it. But, at the end of the day, I was just like, all praises to the Most High because, the Lord gives and the Lord takes away. So all we can do is just bless the Lord. And I was still thankful for everything else that the Lord has done for, my household and my garden, etc. So I just had to take the L. And even though I was still upset about it, whatever. So then last week, y'all, I'm going to post a clip from my TikTok last week. I'm going to just go ahead and post it.
Wow.
Y'all, I could almost cry. I'm out here trimming all my pumpkin leaves and looking, just taking care of the garden. And I pull this back and look at what I have. Oh my gosh. It's a whole freaking watermelon. Yes. Oh, it wasn't done growing. Oh. They come with us. Cut it open. At my mother-in-law's house. Aww. Look at it. Oh, it do.
Come on, cut it.
Boy, be quiet.
Can you be quiet, Elijah? Cut it.
This is so confounding.
It's good.
The whole time, I was worried about that one watermelon plant that got pulled up. That, I didn't know that watermelon was growing there, and that kind of just reminded me of how sometimes the Lord may take things away from us. It could be anything. It could be a job. It could be a family member. It could be a car. It could be, things of the flesh. It could be anything. The Lord gives and the Lord takes away. But you never know what the Lord has in store for you, which is ultimately, the kingdom of heaven. We don't know. We can always imagine what the kingdom is going to look like, but we have no idea what it's going to look like, although we know that it's there. So let's get that. But as it is written, eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. And, we haven't heard the things that the Lord has prepared for us that love him, ultimately at the end of the day. And that kind of reminds me of, this is John 14:2. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you, I go to prepare a place for you. If I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye should be also. All praises to the Most High. The Lord is preparing a place for us. He has something set forth for us that love him. And although we can't imagine it, or, we can't understand, the Lord has a place prepared for us. So even when you do lose things, and we're going to lose a lot of things, unfortunately, we are going to lose a lot of things in Jacob's trouble, and, these end times, we're going to lose things. But we have to remember that at the end of the day, look, the Lord has many mansions, and he has a place prepared for us. And we have the kingdom of heaven that's prepared for us. That's why I like Matthew 6:33. But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. So that's why we have to continuously seek the kingdom of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, because that's ultimately where we want to be. And his righteousness. And all of those things that we want. The kingdom of heaven, the servants, the handmaids, the gardens, the vineyards, the beaches, the rivers, the sheep, the cattle, all of these things, a peace of mind, all of these things will be added unto us if we keep if we keep seeking the kingdom of heaven. And let me get Romans 8:35-39. Who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Shall tribulation or distress or persecution or famine or nakedness or peril or sword? As it is written, for thy sake we are killed all the day long. We are counted as sheep for the slaughter. Nay, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him that loved us. For I am persuaded neither death nor life nor angels nor principalities nor powers nor things present nor things to come nor height nor depth nor any other creature shall be able to separate us from the love of God, which is in Hamashiach Yahushua our Lord. So at the end of the day, whatever we go through, nothing is going to separate us from the love of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, which is keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. And all of these precepts, and I bring all of these out because I could have gave up once I saw that watermelon plant was plucked up. I could have plucked up every single thing in my garden. I could have plucked up everything and said, the Lord not dealing with my garden no more. I don't want to endure gardening and my whatever. I'm done with this. F it. I don't want to garden no more because I can't seem to grow a watermelon. And it kind of even reminds me of the fruits of the Spirit, how sometimes a lot of us give up in our walk because it's certain things that we can't conquer. We can't conquer some of the fruits of the Spirit. So we want to just give up. And we can't do that. You can't separate from the love of the Lord. You can't stop keeping the commandments all because you lack something or you're not patient enough to get it. Because as you can see, that watermelon was there the whole time. And I had no idea. The Lord will give everything in due season. That's why I like Galatians 6:9. Let's go back to that. And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. It was due season for the Lord to bless me with that watermelon when it was ready. Because I could have been knew about it. I could have been found out about it. I could have been seen it. But the fact that I didn't even see it or I didn't even know about it, and that the flesh was even still red. It was just ready in that season for me to see that watermelon. Although the Lord has taken all the other watermelons away from me this season. And I was just like, whatever, maybe it's not my season to grow watermelon. But, I shouldn't have even been like that. I should have been like, I'm going to grow. I could have been more optimistic. I could have had more faith in my watermelon little vineyard or vine, whatever. So, that was just also a lesson for myself, that to always have faith, even when, You can't see what's going on. Even with something as a garden, the same thing goes on even in a spiritual world. We might not have faith that the Lord is going to, some sisters might be struggling with, I don't know, finding a car, or their husband not being in the truth, or the Lord taking, certain stuff away from them. You might not see your husband coming into the truth. You might not see the Lord blessing you with more knowledge on this particular subject, or more patience with this fruit of the Spirit. You might not see the Lord blessing you with being more submissive, or, even with the physical things, a car, etc. You might not see those things, but that doesn't mean that it's not there, that the Lord isn't going to bless you with it in due season. But that's if you faint not, meaning that you can't give up, because nothing is going to separate you from the love of the Lord, again, which is ultimately keeping the commandments. Now let's just go back to that milk. It's John 14:15. If ye love me, keep my commandments. So if you love the Lord, you're going to keep the commandments. If you love the Lord, you're going to practice the fruits of the Spirit. And this week I had 2 dreams about fruit. So I was just like, dang, maybe this video also should be about the fruits of the Spirit. And that's something that, honestly, everybody has to work on. I don't know anyone that has conquered all of the fruits of the Spirit, to be honest. So let's get that. Galatians 5:22 and 23. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. So we have to have these fruits of the Spirit. They go hand in hand with keeping the commandments. Being joyful, love, which is keeping the commandments like we just read. Being joyful even when you are facing persecution, or you're facing some type of trial or some type of tribulation. And let's get that. It's Philippians 4:4. Rejoice in the Lord always, and again I say rejoice. All right, so we have to rejoice in the Lord always, and we also have to glory in tribulations, as Romans 5:3. And not only so, but we glory in tribulations also, knowing that tribulation worketh patience, which is also just another fruit of the Spirit. So we have to glory even when we are going through, when the Lord, takes us through certain obstacles and trials and tribulations. That's something that we always have to meditate on, to have in our spirit, because we have to, we have to have that understanding that, look, we have to accept the will of God, whatever happens. And we have to glory even when it may seem hard for us to do so. Standing that it worketh patience. Because, nothing can compare to the things that's going to come, for our people spiritually and physically in these last days. So the things that we go through now, it's very much so light affliction. So we have to have patience and glory in the times that we go through now, to prepare us for the times ahead. Peace and long suffering. There's Psalms 119 and 165. Great peace have they which love thy law, and nothing shall offend them. So when you love the law of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, not only is nothing going to offend you, no persecutions, no perils, just like we was reading, not the sword, not famine. None of those things are going to offend you to the point where you're like, I'm done. I don't want to do this no more. I don't want to be an Israelite no more. I don't want to keep the commandments. Nothing shall offend you if you truly love the Lord, and if you love the law. You're going to have a peace of mind. Long suffering. And long suffering is something that we all have to do every single day. Long suffering. Dealing with the condition of the battle. Dealing with being here. Dealing with seeing our brothers and sisters get killed and get kidnapped. We have all of these children missing in Ohio. All of these children missing in California. All of these children missing everywhere. We have to deal with these things. We have to be long suffering in this captivity, and we can't faint not. And this is 2 Peter 3:9. The Lord is not slack concerning his promise, as some men count slackness, but is long suffering to usward, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. The Lord is long suffering. The Lord is long suffering with us, so we have to be long suffering through all the things that the Lord brings us through. If the Lord wasn't long suffering with us, we all would have been dead a long time ago. So how much more us that we have to show that same trait? All right, gentleness, gentleness, goodness, but gentleness and meekness are really both the same thing. Psalms 37:11. But the meek shall inherit the earth and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace, which is also a fruit of the Spirit. So we're going to delight ourselves in the abundance of peace, knowing that if we continue to be meek through the Spirit, having that lowliness of mind, not thinking of ourselves higher than we ought to think, being really meek, because we're going to be the ones that inherit the earth, having that lowliness of mind. It's Philippians 2:3. Let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem other better than themselves. So making sure that we're not doing anything through strife, through vainglory. You want to be seen by everybody. You want to do something because you see somebody else do it. You're doing stuff out of strife. You're being nasty. You're being spiteful to a sister or your husband. But everything that we do through the Spirit should be in lowliness of mind, that we esteem others better than ourselves. Better than themselves. Fuck you. We always want to make sure that we have that meek and humble spirit. Let me get one more precept. So we always want to make sure that we're having that meek and humble spirit. And that's 1 Peter 3:4. But let it be the hidden man of the heart, and that which is not corruptible, even the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit, which is in the sight of God a great price. So all praises to the Most High. That's a beautiful thing, to possess that fruit of the Spirit, to be meek. And for sisters, for us as well, to be quiet. That goes into a silent and a loving woman is a gift of the Lord, and nothing worth is her mind well instructed. So that's a great price in the sight of the Lord. And that's something that we as women also have to meditate on. Let's get the precept. It's Ecclesiasticus 26:14. A silent and loving woman is a gift of the Lord, and there is nothing so much worth as a mind well instructed. So, Koholo Yehovah Shimi Shai. This is something that, that we have to meditate on in these last days and every single day. Ecclesiasticus 26:15. A shamefaced and faithful woman is a double grace, and her continent mind cannot be valued. That meekness, that shamefacedness, that gentleness, being a pillar of rest, to your husband. All of these things go into the fruits of the Spirit. Goodness. You can read the whole Proverbs 31 for goodness. Having faith. Well, let's get into it, y'all. I'm here, so we might as well do it. Y'all, this is all the Spirit, because I did not know I was going to talk about all of this stuff. I don't know what is going on. I'm just going with the flow. Let's go to Proverbs 31. No, let's go to Titus 2. All right. Look, I guess this is just a refresher through the Spirit. Or that the aged woman likewise, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness, not false accusers, not giving too much wine, teachers of good things, that they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children, to be discreet, chaste, which both go hand in hand with the fruits of the Spirit, keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of Yahweh Shem Yahushua be not blasphemed. And this is really what a good woman is according to the scriptures, and also Proverbs 31. You're being a teacher of good things. All of these things are good in the sight of the Lord. Back to the fruits of the Spirit. All right, so we touched on love, joy, peace, gentleness, goodness, meekness. Let's touch more into gentleness and goodness in Proverbs 31. Gentleness and goodness. Let's keep those in our mind. So that gentleness and goodness is being virtuous. Okay. Proverbs 31:11. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, that he hath no need of spoil. So you're going to be gentle to your husband and understand that, look, my husband trusts in me. He got to trust in me in order for our family to grow through the Spirit. Because when you don't have trust in your marriage, it's going to be real hard. It's going to be a real hard marriage if your husband can't trust you. So that's a part of having the fruits of the Spirit, that gentleness. You need your husband to also, I know that kind of almost doesn't make sense, but that kind of goes hand in hand with gentleness. Like, you have to be gentle towards your husband enough for him to even trust you. Because a man is not really going to trust a woman that's kind of being a nigger woman that make him want to sit at the top of his house and, just, it's hard to trust a woman like that. It's hard to trust a woman that's not keeping the commandments, that's not being gentle or a pillar of rest. All right. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. And that goes into goodness. Okay, let's skip down some. Let's read 25. Proverbs 31 and 25. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in the time to come. Call her Yahweh Shem Yahshai, and she opened her mouth with wisdom, and her tongue is the law of kindness. So all praises to the Most High, that this really just goes hand in hand with the fruits of the Spirit. Strength and honor. That's what we wear, and the Lord is our strength. Opening your mouth with wisdom, knowing when to speak, knowing when not to speak. That goes hand in hand with what, again, the fruits of the Spirit. So all praise kind of goes in even to temperance. That temperance that's really what's going to ultimately, Lord willing, all of these fruits of the Spirit, but that's going to what's going to get us to the kingdom, because a lot of people don't have that temperance. They don't have that patience. A lot of people give up. I like this definition of temperance. It's emotional restraint or self-control. And that kind of is something that a lot of sisters struggle with. You might get mad at your husband. You might be on your flower, or you might just be mad at your husband because he might not be in the truth, and he might do something, contrary to the laws, or, your children might do something. But we have to have that emotional restraint and that self-control, which is ultimately keeping the fruits of the Spirit. This is Proverbs 16 and 32. He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh a city. So you have to be able to rule over your spirit. You don't want to be that city that's without walls. That's Proverbs 25 and 28. He that hath no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls. To rule over our spirit. And that kind of even reminds me of even the siege of Jerusalem. Okay, all the walls are knocked down, and, we got conquered. We got conquered by, by the heathen, by our enemies. And that's what happens. That's what it looks like when you can't rule over your spirit. Satan is coming to pretty much conquer and take over your spirit. And we walk in the spirit so that we fulfill the lust of our flesh. So that's why we have to walk in the spirit and keep these things that are written, because the time is at hand. Kingdom of heaven is at hand. And, we're walking into these end times where things are going to get a lot harder for us. So we have to keep these things in remembrance. Here's Revelation 1 and 3. Blessed is he that readeth, and they that hear the words of this prophecy, and keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand. The time is at hand. You see the wars popping off. You see all these things happening, that's going on. So, that's something I just wanted to bring out through the Spirit. I just want sisters to endure. I want sisters to endure through the Spirit. Keep the fruits of the Spirit. Understand that, we have something greater waiting for us. Going back to the whole garden situation. I could have pulled everything up, but I said, no, I'm going to keep going. But I did learn, look, I need to have more patience. So, I just wanted to share all of that with sisters, that you never know what the Lord has for you. We don't know. We kind of know what the Lord has for us. We know that there's going to be a kingdom of heaven, but it's all about getting there and doing all that it takes for us to get there. I want to bring out one more precept, which is ultimately for a lot of sisters, we really struggle with the fruits of the Spirit. Going back to love, even loving one another. But sisters can't stand to see sisters do well. Sisters hate sisters. And this is within our own community. Sisters would hate a sister so much that she would even lie on a sister. These are the things that go on in Israel. And these are the things that have to be put to an end. Sisters hate other brothers. Sisters hate camps. Sisters hate this camp. Sisters hate that brother because of this sister because of that. These are things that go on. And all of these things need to stop. Or you're going to reap what you sow. If you sow in hate, you're going to reap that. Let's get that. This is Galatians 6, 7, and 9. Be not deceived, God is not mocked, for whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. For he that soweth to his flesh shall reap, Salakia, for he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption. But he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting. And let us not be weary in well doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. So whatever you sow in hatred, you sow in envy, you sow in discord, you sow in strife, then what's going to happen? You're going to reap that. And that kind of even makes me think about gardening. When you sow, you can sow all of these things. If I sow a tomato plant or a flower, or I sow whatever it is, it's going to come up. It's going to prosper. It's going to come up. Then I'll reap what I sow. The same thing goes spiritually. And you might be wondering why, dang, I'm struggling with this, or why this not working out. Well, it's because you got a bad spirit on you. It's because you're not practicing the fruits of the Spirit. And you're reaping what you're sowing in the spirit and in the flesh sometimes. But if you sow into the Spirit, you're going to reap that everlasting life, which is what we're ultimately, again, working hard for. Being not weary and doing well, keeping the commandments. This 2 Corinthians 9 and 6. But this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly. And he which soweth bountifully shall reap also bountifully. So if you sowing sparingly, even let's just say that goes down to, keeping the fruits of the Spirit, the law, statutes, and commandments, and, your works. You want to labor on this day, but you don't want to labor on the next feast day. One feast day you want to cook, the next feast day you're going to make hot dogs and French fries because you don't feel like actually cooking something. You just kind of picking and choosing when you want to labor for the Lord. And you're going to reap also sparingly. The Lord, you're going to reap sparingly, meaning that you're not going to be blessed with as much as you think that you're putting out, because you're not really putting out anything. But if you're sowing bountifully, you're going to reap bountifully, which ultimately is what getting the kingdom for a lot of us through the Spirit, Adawan Aratazai. Meaning, look, we're not being idle. We're being those Proverbs 31 women. We're being those Titus 2 women. We're enduring affliction. We're enduring trials and tribulations. We're enduring whatever we got going on with our children, whatever we got going on with our marriages, whatever we got going on in our lives. We're enduring all of these things, sowing bountifully in the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, that we should also reap bountifully if we faint not. Dealing with the condition of the battle that we all got to go through. Not making excuses. Not being like that woman in that widow woman that makes excuses. Let's just go to that. Although this is First Timothy chapter 5, but although this is talking about widows, I feel like this can still exist with sisters in the truth that lose things. It's some sisters that might lose their husbands. Not actually them being deceased, but their husbands might leave them. Their husbands might get another wife, or put them away, or sisters might not have certain things go their way. So they kind of say, forget about it. I don't want to be in the truth no more. That's not what we're about. We're about enduring to the end, so we can get what's promised to us. Let's start at 10. Well, let's start at 11. But the younger widows refuse, for when they have begun to wax wanton against Yahushai, they will marry, having damnation, because they have cast off their first faith. And that's literally why we in a position that we in now. A lot of sisters cast off their first faith, which is the love and keeping the commandments of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. And withal they learn to be idle, wandering about from house to house, and not being idle, but tattlers also, and busybodies, speaking things which they ought not. Let's skip to first, we can read 14. I will therefore that the younger woman marry, bear children, guard the house, give none occasion to the adversary to speak reproachfully, for some are already a turned side after Satan. So a lot of sisters are already a turned side after Satan. A lot of sisters say they don't want to be in the truth no more. They want to be rappers. They want to do whatever they want to do. They want to be a hoe and go from house to house, all because things didn't work out in their marriage. Instead of saying, well, let me be like Judith. Let me be like my righteous foremothers. Let me be like Anna. And give my body and my spirit over to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. A lot. You don't want to be that sister that wax wanton against Yahushai. All because things don't go your way. Remember, you want to reap abundantly what you sow, which is keeping the commandments, keeping your first faith, which is the love of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, and enduring into the end. The thing that we all have to go through. 7:57 is one of my favorite precepts. Then answered he me and said, this is the condition of the battle, which man that is born upon the earth shall fight. So everybody has something they got to deal with. Everybody got that thorn that's buffeting them on their side, that spirit that's vexing them, that's trying to take them out the truth. Everybody got something that they got to deal with. And whatever that you're dealing with, remember to practice the fruits of the spirit, to rejoice. So like, yeah, let's read it again. It's Galatians 5:22 and through 23. But the fruit of the spirit, having that love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such things there is no law. Remember to meditate on these things when you're going through whatever you're going through, whatever the Lord has brought upon you. To remember to take it cheerfully. Leviticus 2:4, whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully and be patient when thou art changed to a low estate. Because you never know what the Lord can do for you. You never know what the Lord can do for you and what he got hidden behind the scenes that you cannot see. Jeremiah 32:17, Lord God, behold, thou hast made the heaven and the earth by thy great power and stretched thy arm, and there is nothing too hard for thee. Jeremiah 32:27, behold, I am the Lord God of all flesh. Is there anything too hard for me? So it's nothing too hard for the Lord. Like the watermelon in the garden, y'all. But y'all, that's pretty much it. So call hello Yahweh Bashim Hamashiach Ramalak Yahweh Shai. Call hello Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. I hope this video is helpful to sisters and that y'all are able to understand through the spirit to keep enduring and to constantly keep in mind the fruits of the spirit as an Israelite woman, and to always be patient when you're brought to a low estate, understanding that we all have to fight and go through the condition of the battle that the Lord has placed upon us for us casting off our first faith, which is Yahweh Bashim Yahshai. So I love y'all. Keep enduring through the spirit. Shalom.